Welcome, everyone, back to the Talking with Tarashuk podcast. I say back with emphasis because I am joined once again by my very first guest on this podcast, the one, the only, Dr. Phil Riccobono, a former MLB scout living back in the States. No plugs, no fun stuff, no ridiculousness. We're going to hop right into it. Phil, how are you, man? Great to see you.
Good to see you too, man. You are the hardest working guy in podcasting.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, every time I'm at home and fighting my kids for YouTube time, your feed pops up and it's amazing. I'm like, wow, does he sleep? Does he?
No, actually, yes. So my life, believe it or not, is very, very structured. Everything you see on our socials, APS, all the podcasts released, all the edits, all the graphics, that's all me. That is 100% me by myself while working pretty much a full-time job on top of this, which is also a full-time job. So do I sleep? Kind of. Do I eat? Not enough. Is it worth it? It will be. That's pretty much how I can sum it up.
Did you lose some weight?
I did. I've lost 20 pounds this year, but that's mainly due to financial stress more than anything. Because this economy right now is crazy.
Yeah.
But hey, man, we're gonna keep pushing through. We're gonna keep doing podcasts, and we're gonna keep doing it. But you had to move. You moved back from Japan back to the States. So what was that like?
So I'm back in Vegas. I was here 20-something years ago. Going to finish out my teaching career here and my scouting career here. But it was great. I had reverse culture shock, of course. Yeah. There's just a lot of differences in cultures, but it's all good. Then my family arrived over the summer, so we're all together again under one roof. We were separated for like 9 or 10 months.
Wow.
And it's hard, just FaceTiming with the little ones. But I'm happy to be back in the States for sure. And the next move will be Thailand in about 12 years or so, where we have our spot already picked out.
Is that retirement?
Yeah. We already have a retirement place there.
Interesting.
And I used to teach there and have friends in this small city called Hua Hin, Thailand. Yeah.
So you've been all over. Look, of all places to retire, because I want to retire in New Zealand, but Thailand. Why Thailand?
Oh, it's once you go, you just may fall in love with it. I visited. So next year will be my 20th anniversary with Thailand. So I visited 18 times before I moved there. Mm-hmm. It's just everything's cheaper. It's super relaxed. It's just, you feel like you're on vacation all the time, even when you're working. It's just a very chill vibe. And I don't know, some people just get smitten by it and they just can't get enough of it. So retiring there has its advantages because it's way cheaper to live there. We bought a place already, so that's all set up. And monthly expenses will be very low. So we could probably even maybe save some money during retirement. So
now, when you went to Japan, you kept your U.S. citizenship, correct?
Oh yeah. So I didn't give it up.
So you've been paying dual taxes. Did you got Japanese? Or Japanese like not? No. Like, how's all that work?
There's no double taxation.
No double tax.
So
when you retire to Thailand, are you still gonna get like your Social Security, 401k, and all that fun stuff?
Yeah. And I don't think I'll have to pay taxes on it.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I won't have to pay tax. That's another advantage too. I won't have to pay taxes on it. I might have to pay there. I'm not sure what the deal is with the retirement visa.
Yeah.
But I have to ask you. I don't think so. Yeah. But no, so that's another advantage too. My wife likes it there, so that's important too, right? She's Japanese. No, I have permanent residency in Japan, so I can live there anytime I want. It's like a green card in the States. Yeah. But I am working on my Italian citizenship now.
Okay.
So I'll be a dual citizen. I found out that I can get it because my great-grandfather was born in Sicily, and then he moved to the United. You can see the Sicily poster in the background there. So that's my vision board. So he moved to the States when he was 1, and then he had my grandfather before he became a U.S. citizen. So it was passed on to my grandfather, my mother, myself, and even my kids. So I would like to spend part of my retirement in Europe too. My wife lived in Germany, Scotland, England. So she likes Europe a lot. I love Europe. So maybe we'll spend like the summers there and the winters and in Thailand, that type of thing.
I gotta travel more, man. Like Italy is on my bucket list. My one of my best friends is actually on his honeymoon right now in Italy for another week or so, and I'm seeing his Instagram stories. So shout out to my buddy Chris and Carly. And it's just like, damn, I gotta go there. And plus, I have family from there. Like my grandmother was born in the States, but grew up maybe the first 15 years or so in Italy. Then moved back, went to high school in the States, met my grandfather, and the rest is history. My grandfather was born here, but I'm 50% Italian. My mother's 100% Italian. So
you might be eligible for it. You have to check it out.
That, 'cause it would be my great grandmother was definitely born in Italy. That's a fact.
Did she have? Did your great grandmother become a U.S. citizen?
That I don't know.
Okay, and if she did, if she became a U.S. citizen after your grandmother was born, then there's a good chance that it's good. But if she became a citizen before your grandmother was born, it's dead. A U.S. citizen. So yeah, there's a lot, and there's a backup. There's because of COVID and because so many people, want to leave the States, Italian Americans, and want to maybe retire there. There's like a 4-year backup just to get an appointment at the consulate. So I'm gathering documents now, which have been a big puzzle, right? Like there's all these pieces. I have to get birth certificate of my grandfather in Sicily. I had to hire somebody. It took a year to track that down because they move at their own pace. Yeah. Then, I had to get death certificates, marriage certificates, everyone down the line to me. It's
a lot of work because my other side, the Polish side, my grandmother spent years and years doing like the family history in a binder, just of all the lineages of her side, my grandfather's side, and it was in a binder, probably about this thick, and doing history on our family crest, and it was really cool to look through. I did an 8th grade report on it. It was really fascinating. And now on the other side, my mom's side, the Italian side, her cousin Billy, is doing the exact same thing with my mom's side of the family. So my mom sent me an email like a month or two ago with the original writing, like a photocopy of the writing of Ellis Islands when one of our ancestors came through Ellis Islands, and like how they had to sign their name in the ledger and everything. So family histories, all the lineage, all the paperwork, it's just, someone's got to do it. Someone's got to go through and do everything. So shout out to my grandmother Mimi for doing that book, and my mom's cousin Billy for doing that in the family history.
Did it. What was the motivation?
I mean, she's a teacher, so she just likes knowledge. And she retired. She needs something to do, and she wanted something to pass on. She made photocopies because my dad's the oldest of 6 boys, so she made copies for all her sons. And it's sitting in my at my dad's house, my parents' house back in Boston.
You probably have a lot of the documents you need.
I probably, honestly,
Polish citizenship. You want to get EU citizenship, right? Then you could live anywhere in the EU, and then you're covered by the EU healthcare system, which is great, right?
Damn, so that's a good point.
Right? And then if you have kids, right, then your kids can probably go to university for free or next to nothing in the EU. So that's another reason, I want to give my kids that option as well. My kids are dual citizens already. They're American and Japanese, and they'll have Italian as well.
So could they get like American health care? Like if I had to go to the hospital and I can go to the New York City hospital, they could build like EU insurance?
I don't know about that one.
Okay,
I'm not sure.
I had to go to the hospital in Europe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be too good to be true.
Or something. Yeah.
All right.
So, yeah. But American healthcare is so expensive.
Yeah. It's very expensive. I just
saved $510 by taking my family, my dependents, off of my work health care, and I signed them up to Affordable Health Care Act.
Yeah, the ACA, Obamacare.
Yeah.
Obamacare.
Right, Obamacare. Right. So because of that, I'm saving $510. My work health care wanted to jack it up. The dependents for it. I guess they said a lot of people left it, so there's not a lot of money in the pool, so they had to jack it up.
It up. Yeah.
Yeah, but for me, it's okay. I mean, I pay $15 a paycheck, so that's good.
Damn.
Right, but for my family, it was going to be, if I kept my family on it, it was going to be about $780 a month.
Wow,
that's insane.
Yeah, I pay $92 a week for my just to get the benefit. Just I pay that to pay more to pay more. Right. Just so they can cover it, and they got to pay the rest. That's not even a deductible. So I got to pay that.
You might be able to get on the Affordable Care Act and get it cheaper.
Maybe. Maybe we'll see. My work. I love my job. They take very good care of me, and the health insurance isn't something they can actually control. So that benefits package is through the, I guess, a third party who I'm contracted through. So it's nothing to do with my actual employer.
Right.
But hey,
same thing. Yeah.
Eventually, I'll pay for health insurance through podcasting. So one podcast at a time. And you Phil, you're my very first.
I know.
First guest.
I'm honored.
30. This and here we are. 35 episodes later. This is episode 36.
You're crushing it, man.
And counting. And I saw you had a podcast. You started a podcast.
I've had a podcast.
You've had a podcast.
But I haven't done one in probably a year. I think right after we spoke, I did one episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to maybe crank that up again. You know, when you have kids and you're working full time, you're working several jobs, sometimes 3-4 jobs at a time, it kind of takes a backseat.
It's a lot of time. I spend a lot of time on this, especially because like someone's just like, why do you cut so many clips? Content is king, man. It's like the more content you have, the more likely someone is to see it. And like I'm trying to kind of develop my podcast philosophy.
I got my scouting job out of podcasting.
Really?
You know, well, yeah. Well, if you know, it's called comingtoamericabaseball.com, the podcast. And so I would just go to games when I was living in Korea. And I was like you. I was not every day, but every week I'd put out 1 or 2. And I met scouts and I met scouting directors. And then I met my boss and he's like, why don't you stop doing that? You know, the blog and the pod, you making any money on it? I'm like, a little bit, not much. I had a Mexican restaurant as a sponsor. So for the best, finest Mexican food in all of Tejon. It's Taqueria, 042-242-0110. Churros, burritos. So he would pay me $80 a month. Poor guy went out of business. So I went out of business with them for podcasting. And then, so the Phillies hired me through that. You know, I did have experience playing as an amateur in high school, college club, but so, you know, maybe somebody will want you to shut it off and just work for them and make you an offer you can't refuse.
Yeah, one day. Paul, I said anyone has a business, you need a podcasting. Podcast is networking. Like, this is fun. You know,
I did start another podcast. Sorry, I forgot about for the publishing company. Yes.
All right, so run me through it.
Right. So I have a publishing company called Sports English Press. And actually, if I could plug it right now, Kirsten Wachter is about to launch her new book. It's called The Beautiful Game, English for Football or Soccer. So we focus on books for English language learners who are interested in sports. So I did the book Baseball English. I think we talked about it last time.
Yep.
And then Kirsten, who I hooked you up with, hopefully you'll have her on. She just finished the book.
100%.
And she's based in Germany, and she's got her own consulting company. She teaches English, business English, and teaches in some universities. So we did a podcast talking about her book and talking about the World Cup a little bit. Actually, that one's going to come out. We got the World Cup right around the corner.
Yeah. I can't wait to have her on. Like you referred me. I was just like done. Yeah. Phil sends me someone. Sure. You connected me with Trevor, another alumni, another friend of the show. We had a great talk about baseball. That was probably my longest podcast. Talked almost 2 hours today.
He is on Japanese baseball for sure. He works for Japan Ball.
Yep.
And do you get his Monday newsletter? You get his newsletter?
I do actually. Yeah, I did. I signed up for it. Yeah.
So it's good.
Do you still follow Japanese baseball?
I do, because I have to compare. Like, so now I'm working for helping out Chibalote Marines over here, which is an NPB team. You know, we're struggling, but anyhow, we have to, compare. Okay, so who's this player over here compared to? Right? We scout American players in the AAA and Major League Baseball. We go for guys who are considered like 4A. Not AAA, 4A, some fringy in between up and down guys, or guys who could play, right, in the majors, but they're just stuck behind like a superstar shortstop or whatever. You got 2, middle infielders. This person's a middle. There's just no spot for them. So they have to stay in AAA. And then they could go to Japan and thrive and make good money too. make a lot more money than they're making in the minors. So, yeah, so that's what I'm working on the baseball side.
I'm glad you're still working in baseball. And recently we had the trade deadline. And with all the notifications from my phone, Bleacher Report, the MLB app is saying like, hey, Soto might go here. Maybe. We're not sure.
Right.
Who knows? It's like, guys, this tell me when he signs, all right? Just tell me when he fucking signs. I don't care about rumors, right? But you as an MLB scout, what's that time of the year like for you? Because it's really All-Star and second half, like and after the All-Star break until the deadline in August, it's just nonstop trade rumors and the hot stove and all that stuff. So as a scout, what's your day-to-day like? Because if you're working for one team, I'd imagine the GM, whoever's making those deals, is going to come to you and say, who do we keep? Who can we get rid of? Give me the numbers. So what's that like? What's that like
they
from
got
a
their
scout
analytics
perspective?
department and all that. They're working the phones with different GMs and stuff like that. But what they really rely on us for is the scout who works in the area and would know that player. They don't know makeup. Makeup doesn't just show up in scouting reports or in video or in analytics. That's where scouting has to continue. And there's been a big cutback in scouting. A lot of clubs are doing mostly video scouting, but you need the human element too. All this advanced analytics and this tracker and all that, exit velo, stuff like that, launch angle, that's all important. That's all new, this high-tech stuff. But you're never going to be able to tell what kind of person you're getting through that technology. So I've gotten calls like close to trade deadlines, like, what do you got on this guy? Of course, they want to know what you're thinking of him as a player, but more importantly, makeup-wise. There was this one incident, I remember about 5-6 years ago, GM called us to see, okay, we heard this guy got into it with another player, and I think he was in rookie ball or something. What kind of guy is he? Really, what's his character like? That's what they want to know. They do rely on scouts and will go to scouts for their opinion during the trade deadline. Absolutely.
Now, do you
they have a lot of advanced scouts out there who are just, following guys like Soto because they're in on them, right? They might pull a trade on them. So they do have advanced scouts, out there looking at them too.
Would you only talk to your GM, or say if you're working for the Mariners and someone from the Royals, would someone from the Royals contact you, or is it about it would only go within your organization?
Yeah, you're not, as a scout, you just share information with your club and that's it.
Right.
But you're not supposed to, that would be a conflict of interest.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's their job to find out that information. Right. It's a competition, right? It's a very cutthroat business. You don't want to give any good information or valuable information away like that.
Right. So if you're coming up with a list of prospects, for example, the funniest part of the deadline was the Yankees traded Joey Gallo for the Dodgers' 15th prospect, right? They're 15th in the rankings. Who comes up with those rankings? Who determines this is the number one prospect on this team, as opposed to and as well as overall in the whole league? This is the top. I
think the team does, and then also you have that publication, Baseball America, which gets a lot of has a lot of influence in amateur. Or not amateur, in minor leagues, and also amateur, as well.
Who from the team gets to make that decision, or is it a group effort?
Group effort. You have a player personnel director, and then you have farm director, and then you have coaches down on the farm, and they all they meet and they rank these guys.
Yeah. And I like how you said the makeup, the human element. Right, because that's the character. That's a big thing I noticed. Did you watch Jeter's The Captain, the documentary, the 7-part series?
Yeah, most of it. I think what happened in the last part? Because I think I missed it.
The last part was his retirement, his speech, and his time with the Marlins.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So they didn't show his last game when
they did.
Had the walk off.
They did that.
I missed that one.
I think that was the episode before. I think that was episode 6 when they had his last game at Yankee Stadium. And they completely cut the fact that he played in Fenway the next weekend. But that's okay.
They didn't?
They didn't put that in there because
that was his last at bat.
That was his last at bat, and I think he walked or a single or whatever. But they only showed his last at bat at Yankee Stadium. They act like that was his last game.
Okay.
Which, from a storytelling perspective, I get it. But it's like, listen, his last at bat was in Fenway Park. Yeah.
Right? That's the irony of it, right? The big and they cheered for him too.
Of course they did.
He got a nice send-off from the Fenway fans. I remember
watching it on TV. Because there was speculation. Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? And Jeter's like, no, I'm playing. Of course I'm playing. I owe it to the fans. And that's just the kind of guy he was. But I bring up makeup because that's one thing I think stood out, especially from that post 98, 99, that 2000 dynasty run when all those guys retired and Steinbrenner kind of brought in like the big power hitters like the Sheffields, the Giambis, the Matsuis, and what have you is, and the A-Rods, because like Jeter and A-Rod I didn't know all the beef between Jeter and A-Rod either, and they didn't really play as a team. It's like they played as a team, but they didn't really say like each other. Like one of the things Jeter said was, I could have been a better teammate. I could have gone out after the games and like been a better person to them. But he had a small circle of trust and he's a megastar, so I get that too. But the team aspects and the humanity behind the game is probably bigger in baseball than any other sport.
Yeah, you have to have good camaraderie and you have to be a team player. I think in any sport, but yeah, in baseball, some guys get the stigmatization of being a prima donna, not a team player and stuff like that. But so that's things that you look for. And, you look at somebody's social media when they're a prospect, an amateur. You really have to do your homework on the makeup, especially if they're a stud, because, you're investing millions of dollars into these people. You want to make sure that they're they have the right head on their shoulders to handle all this. Yeah. And sometimes teams miss it. They don't have a good area scout, or maybe they just don't care. They figure the player can mature into it and it backfires. Sometimes it doesn't. The player does mature. So, yeah, but that is a big part of the game, makeup. You'll hear that term a lot. And it doesn't I don't know if the public or people who aren't on the inside realize that as much.
And sometimes it's the wrong fit. Like again at the Yankees when they brought in Nick Swisher in 2009 and then CC Sabathia, AJ Burnett, Mark Teixeira. Like that was a huge locker room shift, and Nick Swisher was a big part of that shift in the atmosphere in the clubhouse, and as well as CC Sabathia. And the reason why Swish stayed there for so long, his numbers might have dipped towards the end, but there's such a great guy to have in the locker room because of his personality and the fans love him. So that and
there was another guy too who retired maybe in the last year or two. He was an outfielder, smaller guy.
Gardner?
Same thing.
Brett Gardner?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Similar situation.
I mean, you need the on the field leader, you need a locker room leader, you need the leader and the manager. And there's a lot of really, really good managers out there. I'm glad Buck Showalter.
I was just about to say that. I really, now that I'm not, working for a major league team, I can root for whoever I want. And I'm not even committed to one team, but I really, I would like to see Buck win it. That would be great for him. That team has it's a special season for the Mets. It really is. And my 4-year-old comes running in every time he hears the trumpets playing for Diaz. And did you see Tommy Trumpet played at Citi Field last night live?
I was there. I was at the game the night before. I was there. What's today? Thursday. I was there Tuesday night. And the Dodgers won. But Tommy Trumpet, or whatever his name is, take me out to the ball game with the 7th inning stretch.
I saw that.
So that was really cool. I watched a video this morning of him playing it coming out, and man, I think baseball needs a little more of that pomp and circumstance, because when he comes out, like the video packages, the trumpets in the crowd, everyone's on their feet, like
Mr. and Mrs. Met are going nuts. Yep. They've got a choreography dance.
They don't go to a commercial break. They just bring them out. Like I was like, Mo had Enter Sandman, but I was like, yeah, Enter Sandman, cool. But
no, I've never seen
something
anything
else.
like this.
This is pro wrestling right now. This is pro wrestling.
And right, exactly. And didn't he do it last year? But I don't know. It just became popular this year for whatever. Because they're so good.
He's a dominant closer. He has the highest strikeout percentage. I think he's perfect in save for save opportunities. The guy's unhittable. The guy is phenomenal. I hope he comes over to the Bronx. I don't wearing White Sox stuff. I found this hat.
When's he a free agent?
I have no idea. Not a clue. I haven't heard about that. I have 3 or 4 of my best friends are huge Met fans, as well as my uncles, my cousins. So I should ask them. But the Mets, man, as a Yankee fan, I am low-key pulling for the Mets. I would love a Subway Series. That's what I want. That's what I'm praying for. But the Dodgers, man, the Dodgers are on pace for 115 wins. I don't think anyone's stopping them. They got 3 MVPs. They got depth in the rotation. They got a strong bullpen, and they got a great manager in Dave Roberts.
I think the Mets could play. They're showing right now that they could play with them, right?
Yeah.
What is the series? Is this 1-1 right now?
Split.
This series?
Yeah, tonight is Scherzer versus Kershaw. And DeGrom is through like 7 perfect, like not perfect, but he looked incredible. Right. I mean, but they got to stay healthy. DeGrom has to stay healthy. If DeGrom can stay healthy, Scherzer can stay healthy.
And Scherzer
Alonso doesn't slump. You know, the Mets have a great team. And when in the offseason or last season when I picked up Starling Marte, that's a great pickup. Kid's a great player. Great player.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I would love to get out to a game there.
City Field's great.
I like it better than Yankee Stadium, and I grew up a Yankee fan.
I do too. Because I live in Jersey. It took me 54 minutes, give or take, just under an hour, to get from door to door, Hoboken to City Field. It's the 7 train express. It was packed, but who cares? It was great. It took me a little over an hour to get home.
How do you get there? You take like 3 trains?
I take the bus. The bus to Port Authority. Port Authority to go underground to Times Square to take a 7 train to Mets Willard's Point. And it's right. Okay. It's right there. It's super quick. It's $10 for the route. Actually, no, it's like probably $15 total for the two subways and the 2 buses.
How long would it take you to get up to Yankee Stadium?
Probably about the same. I get to Port Authority, take the 1 or 2 train all the way up. But the Bronx is such a long trip, and it's just no shame on the Bronx. The Bronx is a historical part of the country as well as hip hop and baseball, and there's nothing like the Bronx. But Yankee Stadium, it's
tough. Is it still a tough area? It used to be. You don't want to be in that area after the game.
No, you don't. Right? You still don't. They have a little plaza outside, but like City Field, it's in like the industrial part of Queens, and you go over like over the boardwalk. You got the tennis court, the tennis stadium, Arthur Ashe, because the U.S. Open was also there the same night as the Mets.
Right,
because they're doing round 1.
Serena won her first match, right?
I believe so. I mean, she's the best in the world.
I think she's still alive.
Still on top.
She's going to retire after this, right? This is her last.
I think so.
Major.
This is her last run.
Last Grand Slam. Yeah.
But I would take my friends to Yankee Stadium. I would take my kids to City Field.
That's a good way of putting it.
Like Bronx is a little more grungy, safer, a little more dirty, a little more aggressive. Which, as a Yankee fan, that's who Yankee fans are, right? They're remorseless. Mets City Field is just like, Pilon's can strike out 4 times in a game and the fans won't boo him ever. They love that guy. They're dedicated to their team. They love their team. Yankee fans, it's like, what have you done for me lately? So it's a little more hardcore in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah. Well, the Mets have had their hearts broken so many times, the Mets fans. So, and I think I'm pulling for them to win it more than the Yankees. They haven't won it since '86, and Buck is getting up there. This would be nice. Scherzer's getting up there. DeGrom, he's. How old is he? About 30?
He's probably 30, somewhere between 34 and 36, give or take.
Yeah. He's not young anymore. But a couple guys could be their last chance.
But we'll see. I mean, my Yankees started out so good, and it was like right before the All-Star break, my buddy at work, Chris, just goes, man, these Yankees, I don't know. I'm kind of getting a bad feeling. I'm like, dude, it's right before the All-Star break. Just let it ride. And then they're having the worst August since probably the 80s.
They're still in first place by how many games?
Oh, like probably 8 or 9, give or take. But they gotta beat the Astros.
Actually, it's 6 games now.
It's down to 6.
Yeah,
that's not good.
Yeah,
that's not good.
Tampa's won 8 out of the last 10. Baltimore was on some run.
Baltimore's above 500. Red Sox are in last place right now.
Yeah. Baltimore's 68 and 61.
Yeah.
7 games above 500. Yeah, the Red Sox are under 500.
Good.
That's a disappointment.
Screw them. I hate the Red Sox.
I grew up hating them, but now it's like whatever.
Yeah.
When you get into working in baseball, it's like it's kind of sad. You lose your fandom part of you, right?
Yeah.
So, but like hockey, yeah, I'm still crazy about the Islanders and the Jets. There's not much to root for. But out here, we got the Raiders, who I think are going to make some noise this year.
Derek Carr, he's still your quarterback?
He's the quarterback. He's the guy. I mean, he gets the job done. He got him winning the playoffs. He's righted the ship after all that Gruden stuff happened.
Yeah.
And then I think one of the receivers, killed someone in a DUI. There was a lot of drama last year with that team.
Well, there's a lot of drama in the NFL regardless. Like this whole Deshaun Watson thing, and he got suspended a few games, whereas someone bet on a game and he was gone for the whole season. Man, there's a lot going on in sports, but this baseball season has been very exciting. I noticed this during the All-Star break, the home run derby. Baseball's fun again. And the players
and my kids are 7 and 4 and they're loving it. Like every time Ohtani hits a home run, like my wife, automatically gets the message from Japan on her phone, the news update, and she knows it before I do because I'll check the phone sometimes. And then Judge, my son is loving that Judge is hitting all these home runs. So I feel like a little kid again. I'm kind of living through them. And then I asked my son, he likes the Yankees. I said, why? Because of Judge? He said, no, because of Babe Ruth. Because Babe Ruth is talked about a lot in Japan because of Ohtani, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Because they call Ohtani the Babe Ruth of Japan, right? Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. But, I was looking at Babe Ruth's numbers. Like, they were sick. He had like a 2.5 ERA. It's going to be a while if Ohtani ever does catch him in the pitching department.
Yeah. I mean, he could, because Ruth didn't pitch that long into his career.
For the last, I don't know what amount of years it was. When he was at the Yankees, he only pitched I think 5 times or something. Yeah,
with the Red Sox, he could start with the Red Sox, played maybe 4 or 5 years. When was his debut? 1917-ish? Came to the Yankees in 20-something?
Well, it was the same year the Titanic sank.
So 1912.
Something like that.
So he debuted in 12?
I think, let's see. Let's pull it up here.
Yeah, let's go to the Google machine. Career run. Dead air stays in. Let's see. Okay. Debuted Hall of Fame induction 1936. Date joined 1914. 1914. Yeah.
So he pitched 1935.
So wow. He pitched, and he died a year later. No, he died in Hall of Fame a year later. He died in 48. Pigtown, Baltimore. Hilarious. Born in Pigtown. Amazing. So 1914 to 1920. So he pitched 6 years, give or take.
Something like that.
Plus a little more with the Yankees. Let's say give him 7. Let's give him a grace year. 7 years. So Ohtani's been pitching. What's his third? This is Ohtani's 3rd year.
Well, if you want to count Japan,
only counting the States.
You're only counting MLB.
Yeah.
So he came over 1912. Remember, he missed a year because of Tommy John. He didn't pitch. So I think he came over 18. 19, he might have missed. He got hurt at the end of 18.
Shortened year in 20.
He might have hit. So 18, 19, 20, 21. This is his 5th year already in the big leagues?
That's hard to believe. Let's give that a Google. He debuted. Damn, he's only 28 years old. He just turned 28 in July.
Mm-hmm. July 5th, right?
Yep. MLB debut. 2018. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
So
he was 24.
But he missed a year, I think, of pitching. He might have hit at some point in 19. or 20, whatever. One of those years, I think it was 19 is when he had the Tommy John, or 18.
If he stays healthy, man, Tommy John's hard to bounce back from, but clearly he has. His pitching numbers have been. What's his pitching numbers been? Because he can be a little streaky on the mound.
Oh, he should have so many more wins.
That's a given. That's a given,
right? He's got 10 wins, so he's the first since Babe Ruth to have 10 wins, and I think it's 20 home runs in the season.
Okay,
he finally tied that record.
Okay,
so he's got. Oh, I think he's got close to 30 home runs.
He's got a lot of strikeouts.
He just hit a 3-run homer last night.
Yeah, I know, and that's what cost the Yankees the game. Thanks, Ohtani. If anyone's gonna hit it.
Oh, that's right. They were out in Anaheim.
What do you think of the MVP race, Judge or Ohtani?
Judge,
yeah, hands down.
Judge.
I mean, Ohtani's making it competitive, but Judge is having. I mean,
he had 50 home runs or something.
51. He's got 51 right now.
51.
I mean, this is my thing.
Ohtani's got 30 home runs. He's hitting 269. Judge is hitting for average too.
He is hitting over 300, and he's got 100 RBIs.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's September.
Ohtani has, I don't know how many RBIs he has. Not as many as Judge.
Probably in the 80s. 82. Yeah. That's not his fault. He's on the Angels, right? It's not his fault. I imagine.
And he finally got Trout back with some protection, but Trout's not, something's going on there. He's not what he was.
Imagine if Ohtani.
He's got that back problem, right?
He had that weird back problem.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hopefully it's not. He said it might be for the rest of his career. But
you gotta admit, Trout is on the downside now of his career.
Yeah, he's over 30, right? Or is he just turned 30?
He's right around there.
He's 29 or 30, but if he's injured, yeah. He's got that big deal. Trout, to me, he should be a megastar. I mean, he's a baseball megastar, but he's not like a pop culture icon. You know what I mean? Like he's not a LeBron, he's not a Tom Brady.
He plays on the, he doesn't play on the Yankees or the Dodgers.
That's true,
or the Red Sox,
neither
right?
is Ohtani, but Ohtani's still a megastar.
But he's a two-way player. Nobody's done this, right? But Trout is the face of baseball still, I think. We talked about this last year.
Yeah.
Him and Ohtani. Well, maybe it's changed. Maybe it's not Trout anymore. Last year they said Ohtani, and then now Judge, right?
It could be Judge. If Judge breaks this record, it will be Judge. And Judge is that good. I mean, he's never going to have a better season than this season. Ever. He might bat 300. He might get 50 home runs, but he's not going to have both, I don't think, ever again after this season, because he's also 30. He's also approaching the tail end of his 30.
Career. This is a contract year.
Yeah.
Which is probably more motivation.
Yeah, the contract year.
He's like, going into the season, got little guys back to the wall a little bit because he's got turned down the Yankees offer.
He's got chip. Right? Honestly, at first I was like, man, Judge, you turned down the highest Yankee contract in history. Mm-hmm. And he's thinking, I'm going to get more. And I don't care if the Yankees win World Series. I don't think they're going to. You give Judge a blank check and say, as long as it's under like $500 million, it's yours. As long as it's not over $500 million, it's yours.
You think he's going to go back to the Yankees?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think so too.
Not a doubt in my mind. Listen, Judge, I think to a fault in baseball, is loyal. And I think the Yankees are going to take care of him because they know he's worth it. They know the fans love him. They know he's going to put asses in seats, and they know he's the face of baseball. And I think Judge is also a smart businessman to the point where, I don't remember who said it. It might have been Michael K. Show or someone else on a podcast or radio, made the argument of Judge is going to make more money in the long run in New York than anywhere else because of the market, because of the sponsorships, because of the deals he can make in and outside of baseball, the commercials, right? You're not going to get that in anywhere else other than LA, and LA is stacked right now. The LA can't afford Judge. There's no room for Judge. Mm-hmm. He could, where else could he get it? Boston? Maybe. But Boston has to be good. And the Boston GM and their leadership.
Giants. He's from the area. He's not far from the Bay. I think he grew up in Fresno. Maybe grew up a Giants fan.
Okay.
That's one team that's talked about.
Maybe the Giants, but do you think
they have money?
Do you think he'll get more media exposure in San Fran than he will New York, or just as much? I don't think he's going to get more than New York.
No, but maybe he wants to go home. You never know.
Maybe.
They might woo him. We'll see. he's definitely going to weigh his options after this season.
Yeah.
Right? And we'll see what happens. But I would think he's going to stay with the Yankees.
I think he's
homegrown. You know, they're going to pay him. You know, Brian Cashman. There's rumors of him this being his last year, maybe. So who knows? With a new GM comes in.
I mean, he's been with the team since the early '90s as like an assistant GM.
20 years
working on the Steinbrenner
as GM.
Yeah,
something like that.
He's been a GM since like '98. Yeah, a little longer.
He took over for I think it was Bob Watson.
Now it was in G's documentary. That's how I know all that. I think Cashman needs to go, in my opinion.
He's made so much money and done so much.
He's had so much success. And granted, you know, going into the trade deadline, he did a great job because he did everything he got everything the Yankees needed. Outfielder, Benintendi, got him. And he's starting to play better again. The pitcher, got him. He's been a bust so far. So that's unfortunate. Reliever, got him. Don't know what he's been doing. The yellow outfield. I don't know why I traded Jordan Montgomery. Why the fuck did you trade Jordan Montgomery?
Big left-hander, right?
Yeah, and he's in the Cardinals throwing like shutout ball right now. Now, granted, he had a really bad June and a pretty bad July, so he wasn't pitching great.
Yeah, you know, some of those things you never know the real story either.
Yeah,
but, you know, there's behind-the-scenes stuff. Like, why did the Islanders fire Barry Trotz? I'm baffled. Right, like, okay, he brought them to the semifinals twice, one game away from the Stanley Cup. Okay, last year was a tough year. First 13 games were on the road because the new arena wasn't ready. Then a string of games they had like most of their lineup out with COVID, and they wouldn't cancel the game. So last year was a wash for the Islanders, in my opinion. But I don't know what happened. Something must have happened there with Lou Lamoriello and him that will come out later. That's the thing I love about history is it's glamorous because you don't get the story for years later.
Yeah.
Right. So I like history in that regard. Because right now, you know what's going on in the world. We don't get the whole story until years later.
Right when it's too late. And right when it doesn't matter, and everyone who should have been punished is either dead or it doesn't even matter.
I want those classified files to be released on JFK before I die.
Yeah, we all do.
Right?
Yeah,
I've been there and I looked at it and I'm like, there's no way that one lone gunman pulled this off. Like, and they had photos with smoke coming out of the bushes and off to the side there. I believe that this was done. He took the fall. Lee Harvey Oswald. He may have even taken a shot, but I think there were other people involved.
See, I don't think that's where the conspiracy is. Personally, like they have, we're not gonna get a JFK. We can get the JFK. Fuck, let's do it. JFK. We can go from Mike Trout to JFK. I love it. JFK is interesting. Because I've seen plenty of things, and like he got those shots off in like what 3 to 6 seconds, the 3 shots. Mm-hmm. Now I have seen it recreated with that rifle. It is possible he got the shots off. You know, Lee Harvey Oswald spent a lot of time in Russia. He was an elite sharpshooter, so it is possible that the lone gunman theory is possible. It's possible. I'm not gonna say it's probable, but it is possible. I think the big conspiracy is what did the CIA do it? How much was?
And why was Oswald assassinated right after it?
Yeah, the mob,
and Jack Ruby,
who had ties to the mob in the nightclub, and there's a lot of questions that need to be answered with JFK. And like most things, the questions come from how much was the government involved, how much did they know, and what did they let happen? Because the CIA was not happy with JFK. He put the whole kibosh on getting into Vietnam earlier, or Bay of Pigs, right. And like they wanted to like blow up a ship and blame it on Cuba so they could invade Cuba and get Castro. Like, and JFK was just like, "What are you, nuts?" Like he had a speech warning about secret societies and the CIA and the NSA and the FBI and this, that, and the other, and his brother was going after the mob and the internal so.
Right.
And he was Catholic. Like the establishment, in quotes, the powers that be did not like JFK. People in government definitely want him dead. So to me, I want to know what the government knew and what they let happen. That's the real conspiracy to me.
And didn't his dad make a deal with the mob that he didn't follow through with?
That's
because
rumored.
He died.
That's
right?
rumored. That his dad, also a shady character, was involved with the mob to help him. Oh no, it was like who was the guy in Chicago, the big gangster? They got him on tax evasion. Capone. Like Capone and his crew, and like the unions. Like he made a deal with the devil to help him get elected. Which, if you know anything about JFK's dad, he totally would have done. Because how he got his money was also really shady with the mob. So,
well, he was a bootlegger.
Bootlegger, exactly.
Right?
And that's a prohibition.
So what I would love now, speaking about things that are coming out years later, are these podcasts with these ex-mobsters, like Sammy the Bull Gravano. Mm-hmm. He's got like 500,000
viewers on YouTube.
He's got a podcast. Right? He's got a podcast. He's got advertisers, for going to therapy. I mean, it's crazy.
It's unbelievable. I honestly, dude, I can.
But his stories are great.
I should reach out to him. I can get his email. I'll find it. See if he wants to come on. Like, what do you know about JFK?
Well, one of these guys, there's a guy called Jimmy Calandra who grew up in that Bensonhurst neighborhood. Yeah. Bath Avenue. Like, he might come on your podcast. He wasn't in the mob, but he was around it and went to jail and all that and cooperated. There's a lot of guys who are coming out now who cooperated. There's another guy, Michael DiLinardi or something like that. He's got a new podcast. He was a captain in the Gambino family. These would be really good interviews for you.
I would love to. Well, here's a little secret, Phil, because I know you do have a podcast as well. If you ever want to at least blindly reach out to someone who has a podcast, here's a little secret. And a podcast is distributed through what's called an RSS feed. And every single RSS feed is publicly available, meaning you can go into a line of code and read everything that's in it. And every RSS feed needs to have an email address associated with it. So if you can get to that source code, you can find the email. Now, is that email active? Are they going to answer to you? No idea. Couldn't tell you. If you find mine, it's will@apspodcast.com. Mine's very active. If you want to be a guest on this podcast, that's how you find me. But every podcast has an email in the RSS feed. Now, some of them, if you use a platform like Anchor, they generate it, so it's just a random number, and it's like one of those randomly generated emails. So you won't find any luck there. But if it's hosted independently or through other services, the email address will be there. You can give out a blind email, and hopefully they answer you. So I'll look into that, talking to some mobsters, because I would love to talk to a mobster. Like, I'm Italian from Boston. What you got? How much do you hate? What's his name? The guy with me from Black Mass. How much do you hate him? Whitey Bulger. How much do you hate Whitey Bulger?
Whitey Bulger. Yeah. Well, he did. Yeah, Sammy the Bull did the podcast on him. He actually didn't like him. Well, I mean, he did some really bad things. Like,
well, also up in Boston was the North End and South End.
There was some sexual assault or something on him or something. I don't know if it was with children or women or something, but that was mentioned.
Yeah, Whitey Bulger, Irish mob, which is Southie, against the Italian mob up in Boston, which is North End. So yeah, they don't like each other. They never have, never will.
I think the Westies worked with when Paul Castellano was the boss of the Gambino family. He actually hired the Westies to do some work. So they did do some work together. Yeah.
Well, the whole mob culture. Like the 1960s, 1970s New York mob scene and Five Families and all the crime, and
it's not what it was. It's finished.
No, yeah, they're pretty much non-existent. They still exist, but they're pretty much non-existent. Thanks, Giuliani. The one good thing you did in this country. But it's fascinating. It's just a fascinating time in American history and how tied, especially Italian history, Italian American history, in the Omerta. Code of Silence.
Well, they built America too. Like they had their hands in construct. Yeah. They built New York City. They built Vegas. The old Vegas. Yeah. Before it became corporate. So they did. A lot of people should give them credit for that for building this country. Yeah. But yeah, there's also, a lot of people don't. A lot of Italian Americans don't want to be associated with that at all.
A lot of them do. And you know what I mean? Like. Yeah, I don't. If someone assumes I'm a mobster, I'm like, no, you're an idiot. But if someone assumes my family has mob ties, I'm Italian, you're an idiot. But it's like, as an Italian, can I say I'm proud of it? Pride is a weird word to use, but I acknowledge it and I appreciate it for what it is because it's part of, like it or not, it's part of my history. It's part of my culture's history. You know, you take the good and you learn from the bad.
People, especially when you leave New York, a lot of people think you're a mobster because you're from New York and you're Italian.
It's fun,
right?
Think.
So it's a secret society. First off, like not many people are in it. You ever see those, you know, those old FBI or police? They have the photos of the whole thing, right? The whole structure, the whole layout of the family. There weren't that many people in it.
Yeah, didn't need to be. Didn't need to be. It's just, you know, loose lips sink ships.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think a baseball team will ever come to Vegas?
Yeah, I think I don't know if the A's are going to. They, you know, like I don't know if you've been keeping up with that. They've been working towards getting a new stadium in Oakland, right on the water, and it seems to be going through. But they keep coming back here and meeting with Vegas, with officials here, and even the governor. I'm talking about the president, like Dave Cavall. So I don't know. A lot of people think they're kind of using Vegas as leverage, you know, for Oakland.
That's fair.
But I think there's going to be a team that comes here. This city can handle it. There's going to be they're breaking ground soon on an NBA arena, so that's going to be that'll be one of the. Why don't
they use the hockey arena, the Knights?
It's not built for basketball.
Not built for basketball. Fair enough. Well, the Angels are up for sale. Maybe they'll come over.
Wow, maybe. I don't know. I think they'll stay there. I haven't heard anything about that. I don't know what the lease is with the city of Anaheim, but I think the problem with Oakland is it's the worst stadium in baseball. It's like falling apart.
Yeah, it's gross.
They have like caution tape up, like you can't even walk on some of the steps. It's a real, for lack of a better term, shithole. I mean, and they don't get any fans because the fans don't know what the hell's going to happen.
And the team's bad. And the team's bad. Yeah, I think they had something the other night. They had like 3,000 fans.
Their AAA team is good. The Las Vegas Aviators. Go check them out when you come here.
We'll talk about AAA because I know you're big into minor league baseball, and I want to know some of the next prospects coming up and who your big prospects are. But sticking to Vegas.
Well, I loved Langoliers, who finally got the call up from Oakland. He was a first-round pick from Baylor. The guy can rake. He's a catcher. So when I saw him, I'm like, well, let me check the roster. There's no way that this guy is going to be, 28 years old or 27. Most of AAA is, sadly, it's kind of a burial ground for guys who are just stuck. They're just organizational guys at this point. Some of them will move up. Some of them will stay there for a minute after AA, for a few minutes, and then go to the big leagues. But if you look at the rosters, a lot of them are guys in their late 20s who have been picked up in free agency, just been around for a while. They're kind of like organizational fillers. If you need a guy to come up, they'll bring him up. Guy gets hurt or something. Or you just need guys to be in the organization to play, right? To keep the org going, all those organizational guys. But there are a lot of guys who, like I said, they're clogged. They got superstars ahead of them, and they can play in Japan. Right? Japan needs guys that throw above 95. The average velocity in Japan is like 91, right? 90, 91. We're here in the States in MLB, it's like 96, right? So you need guys like that over in Japan. You need power hitters in Japan, corner infielders, corner outfielders, stuff like that. Those are the type of guys you look for in Japan. They got enough speedy guys who can play very good defense and hit for average. That's not a problem.
Well, what's the pay like in Japan? Because if a minor leaguer, I know that minor leagues just got the new deal structured under the previous lockout at the beginning of the season, which honestly I completely forgot the lockout even happens. It's been such a good year of baseball. But like, how is the pay in the minor leagues compared to the pay in Japan?
Oh, it's going to be way more in Japan. We're talking about like a place like Japan and Korea. They'll give guys $1 million to $2 million guaranteed.
Really?
Right? Yeah,
It's not bad.
yeah, and my, in the minor leagues, they're not making nearly as much as that. The league minimum is 700. Some guys in the minor leagues are making, I don't know, 15,000 for the season or something like that, plus meals and but it's not enough money to live on.
AAA, they make
They're
15?
living off of signing bonuses. A lot of them.
Even AAA, I know like AA, even single A, they can make like 15,000, but even AAA makes like
some
30,000.
Guys who it depends. Some get like a split contract or like a major league contract.
Mm-hmm.
They'll make more. Some guys will make 10, 15,000 a month, but some guys are only making like 15,000 for the season.
Now, what about college baseball? Because I was talking to my friend the other day. College basketball huge, college football massive, college baseball, people forget about it. Like that, people just like, oh yeah, there's college baseball. Now, why is something like that? Is it because MLB, you can still go directly. You can be drafted out of high school. You don't need to do a year of college. Like, why isn't college baseball bigger and more important?
I think it's pretty good. I think they've got the World Series and you've got guys. So they have to stay 3 years before they can get drafted. Right? They can't unless you're in a junior college.
If they go to college and decide to go to college, they have to stay there for 3 years. Unlike football, they can do one and go.
Right.
Okay.
You got to stay for 3 years. So no, there's a lot of pitchers who come out and they're ready. They're ready. Like, what's his name for the Yankees? He came out of Nebraska and he went right to the big leagues. He went to maybe AAA or AA for a minute, but the same season, like he graduated in May or finished in May, and he was up in the big leagues by the end of the summer. You know what I'm talking about? The flies or those gnats.
Oh, Jabba
Chamberlain. So there's guys like that. There's other guys who came out. David Price. A lot of pitchers. A lot more pitchers make it, I'd say, than hitters. But no, college is pretty good. And then the other thing is guys come out, even the hitters, they come out polished, right? So they're more polished. And then they go right into maybe like AA or high A or something like that. Mm-hmm. Don't have to develop them as much. So I think college is pretty good.
So if
some guys, it's very hard to make a lot. You could get drafted out of high school, right? Mm-hmm. There's so many rounds, 30 rounds. But the thing is, you might not make any money, right? Unless you get drafted in the first or second round.
Right.
So if they're not going to be a first or second round pick, it's like, I'll go to college for 3 years and develop there and get an education, get it paid for, and then I'll get drafted. And they'll get drafted higher if they develop.
So if you're fresh out of high school, right? Like say it's your son, right? He's like a great shortstop and he's projected to be like one of the top 20 baseball players out of high school in the country. Would you advise him to go to the draft, to go to the minors, or do 3 years of college? Take education, payment out of it. Just in fact of my goal is to be a baseball player. Education has a backup plan, has nothing to do with it.
If you're going to be the first round, you're going to get the money. I would say go for it.
Okay.
Yeah. But, I mean, some guys don't want to go become pro right away. They want to go to college. Yeah. But most guys
especially athletes want to go have some fun, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. But a lot of guys that are first round picks, you're risking like losing that money. Like, what if you get hurt? And then you're never going to see that money again.
Yeah.
Right. Like your career ends. So most cases, like I know this year they had Paul Crawford's son here in Las Vegas. He got drafted out of Bishop Gorman High School, which is like a stud high school for football, basketball, and baseball. Blue chips come out of there all the time. He went with the Phillies in the first round. I forgot what pick he was, top 10, and he got paid. I forgot, probably $8 million or something like that. But yeah, most guys will come, like if they're going to be projected to be top first round pick, they usually will take it and be drafted.
That makes sense. Well, luckily this season baseball, there haven't been many crazy injuries. There've been a few. Yankees bullpen's gotten beaten up a little bit, but in terms of like major setbacks and in terms of like other than Trout being out a few months, it's been a pretty good year. It's been a pretty healthy year for the most of baseball. which is good because a few years there, a lot of major stars were getting hurt. The Yankees got beat up a lot the past few years. But staying healthy, it's hard to do in baseball. Like, people like to tell me that baseball's not a physical sport. I'm like, it can be. It's not.
Especially if you're Ohtani playing both two-way, even if he's pitching once a week still.
And you're doing it
from
every single day. 162 games with. All right, so the baseball season's April to the end of September. How many days off do you think they get? Not including travel days, because I don't consider a travel day a day off. Just a regular day off.
Maybe once a month.
Yeah, so maybe if talking like a dozen. A dozen days off where you just get to
once a month.
You get to do nothing and see your kids. And then you have travel days for the road trips sprinkled in between those. Maybe
scouting is hard too during the season. You don't see your family.
Yeah.
Full-time scouts, right? They're on the road all the time.
You travel with the team.
Yeah. They travel, follow, wherever their coverage is, track, running down pitchers, especially amateur pitchers are hard to run down because they only pitch like once a week. And you've got to build your schedule around them. And high school pitchers, you might find out the day before when they're going to pitch. So there's a lot. It's really hard to cover amateurs. The other thing, like Japan and Korea, they get Mondays off. There's no baseball, and so they get that one. And the travel's so easy. Like in Japan, the most you're going to travel is 2 hours, and it's the same time zone.
Yeah, it's the island.
It's up and down the island. Like guys come over from Japan or Korea and play here. It's really hard the first year getting used to that travel.
Well, why do they take Mondays off? Is that a cultural thing?
That's a good question. I have to find out, but I don't know. I guess it's just part of it's been a tradition.
It's part of the sport?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, it's less games. It's 140 games a year in Japan.
Still a lot. It's still a lot. But the travel.
It's still a lot.
The travel that's going up and down the islands of Japan makes it definitely a lot easier.
Yeah, you take the Shinkansen, the high-speed train from Tokyo to Osaka. It's an hour and a half. Or you could fly from Sapporo all the way up in the north, which is Hokkaido, down to Fukuoka in an hour and less than 2 hours. That's the longest journey. It's going to be like 2 hours by air.
That'd be like New York driving New York to Philly. About 2 hours.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
All right, let's wrap up with umpires. Because this has been a thorn in my side all season.
Oh, I saw it for the first time this year. They have the umpire behind home plate in AAA who has an earpiece in his ear, and he's not calling the balls and strikes. The robot is, but he's so in AAA. They have.
I've heard about this. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So you think he's calling, like this average fan, you roll and go, strike, ball, but he's getting it in his ear.
He gives the hand signals. Got all these,
they got the security cameras like in the outfield now, extra cameras to call balls and strikes.
What do you think about that?
I don't know. I mean, it's more fair for pitchers. I guess it's fair. It's fair for everybody.
Fair for hitters too.
Yeah, it's more fair. It's a long day. Fair for hitters, for everybody. But I do miss the arguing, like at first base. Over. Now you have the instant replay, and it kind of takes all that out. Then you'd have arguing with balls and strikes, which you still have at major league level. But now I don't know if it's every game or it was just piloted. But I did see a few games and read about it in the Las Vegas Review-Journal that they had these umpires there who were basically robots.
Well, okay, so here's my big whole spiel when it comes to like robotic umpires, the human element of the game. Mistakes are part of the game, like all this jazz. I understand from an MLB's perspective the wants and desire for a robot umpire, because at the end of the day, MLB is a business. It really is. And there are millions, if not hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars at stake for who wins the World Series. Signing bonuses, team bonuses, like everything. Fans, everything. You want it to be right. the most important thing in sports is that the winner is determined by the right calls and it's fair. So by that logic, I understand Robo Umpires. It's the best move for business, and the biggest thorn in the side of MLB right now really is bad umpires and blown calls.
And they have to speed up the game, which they're doing at the minor league level. They have clocks now on the pitcher.
Yeah.
I think it's 20 seconds in between from when they get the ball to
and
having to deliver.
And they have to speed up the game. However, my thing is, I am a baseball conservative. I am as conservative can be when it comes to baseball. Maybe starting after Jackie Robinson. I'm not that conservative. So like when it comes to the rules and the integrity of the game. Like when I play MLB The Show on my Nintendo Switch, I have umpire blown calls turned on because the human aspect, the humanity is part of the game. Making a mistake, making a blown call is part of the game. And it's unfair to you now, but it's going to be unfair to them later. And I like the fact that it's a human game. Mistakes happen. And at the end, it kind of works itself out. Like, yeah, it's a blown call. It's part of the game. It's part of the fun. It's baseball. That's what baseball always has been. It doesn't necessarily need to be fixed. Now, in terms of the speed of the game, man, I understand that casual people say baseball is slow, it takes too long, and this, that, and the other. That's what I like about baseball.
Are you okay with putting a runner on second in extra innings?
I'm split on that too. At first, I hated it. Again, baseball purist, I hated it.
Yeah.
But when it comes
it's not going to change, right? Like, I don't think it's ever going to go back to
I think they are going back. I think next season they're going back.
They're going back?
Part of the players to lock out early before the season was part of the extra inning rule. I think they're going back to it. But the speed of the game, baseball has always been a slow game. You know,
that'll slow it down. See, the reason why I like that is because in Japan, right, they play 12 innings and then it's a tie, right? So
don't like that
you get out. You're not going to be, as a scout, I love it. I'm not going to be in the ballpark till 4 a.m. Right? Like, get out of there at a reasonable time. Plus, I think it has to do with the trains there. The trains really stop.
The train schedule,
like midnight.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right.
That's fair. That's fair.
You have to get people out of there.
Yeah.
You got to go home. But
when it comes to the runner on second, and actually,
so that's going away. See, I like that because it speeds it up, and you're not watching the game till 3 in the morning.
That's not why I like it. I hate it because it feels like cheating. It's just like, really? This is how you win? I think it'd be better if it was first base, personally. But Alan Schoenberg, friend of the show, talked to me about this. He's like, I like it from a manager's perspective. And because managers talk about it. Managers love the rule because it brings in a brand new strategy to the game. Like if you have like,
you have to use your bench.
You gotta use your bench smartly, what have you. Because if you're going to the top of the 10th inning, right, and say it's like your star catcher, like a Joe Mauer was still in the league like 5 years ago. Joe Mauer is gotta be on second base. Do you take Joe Mauer out to put in like a Starling Marte off your bench to be a speedy runner? Then who's gonna play catcher in case it doesn't work? And say you have Aaron Judge up, you're gonna bunt with Aaron Judge, right? Like it raises a lot of questions as a manager. What do I do here? And the fact that the Yankees had like 9 innings in a row where they couldn't get that run home from second is just embarrassing. So there's that as well. So there's parts I like about it. There's parts I don't like about it. It's growing on me. But as a baseball purist, I do like the fact that, listen, you got to earn it. And a man on second base feels a little less earned to me.
So it's going away. What is sure it's going away after this year?
Maybe it's the next year. Maybe I read it wrong. Maybe it's staying. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't know. They've had success with it. Like it eliminates these marathons. So okay, we'll have to see. Because I read here, MLB Players Association agreed to keep automatic runners.
All right.
Maybe they agreed to keep it.
Maybe I was misinformed. So yeah, we'll see. End of the season at least, and we'll see going on to next season. But playoff predictions. Who's winning the World Series and who are they beating and how many games?
Oh wow. I want to go with the Mets. I mean, I love Buck Showalter.
Go with the Mets, man. Go with the Mets.
And, it's a special season. I'm loving Diaz's entrance. I mean, it's like wrestling, right? Like you said, I've never seen an entrance like that since like wrestling.
Yeah.
Right? Like Hulk Hogan coming out.
Yeah.
Or
come on, pitch a knife, brother.
Or like even the Bulls, the whole team came out to that I don't know the name of the song. That was pretty exciting. But this is next level. No, this is next level entrance. Never seen anything like that. And the kids love it. Everybody loves it.
Everyone loves it.
Mr. and Mrs. Met love it.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's really cool. So you're going with the Mets, who they beat in the American League? Astros, Yankees. I don't know who else could even in contention.
I think the Astros are the team to beat right now.
They are, 1,000%.
Yeah,
even with Verlander hurt right now, the Astros are the team to beat.
Yeah. But I feel like it could be the Mets year. I'm just going to go with it.
So Mets of the Astros.
I really enjoy watching them. And I'm happy. I have a lot of my mom's a Mets fan. A lot of family are Mets fans. My dad's a Yankees fan, but they've had enough championships.
I'm still going to go Yankees over Mets in 6. That's my prediction.
All right.
I'm totally wrong, but that's what I'm going to go with. That's what my heart's telling me. I'm a baseball fan. I go with my heart.
You're a Yankee fan. I know.
Yeah.
It could happen, Kevin. I went to every game of the Subway Series in 2000. I was working for Fox Sports with Joe Buck.
God,
I was helping out with the stats in the booth. And I'll never forget that. And then after that, I was like, okay, now I could leave New York. Right after that, next year, I left New York for good. So I think I was like, I've seen it all.
Nothing else to do. You reached your peak. All right, Phil.
Maybe you're gonna move. Maybe you're gonna leave New York. You're gonna build a podcast studio in Arizona if you do see a Subway Series.
Maybe we'll see. I mean, I love Jersey. I love Hoboken. My family's here. I'm never going back to Boston. That's for sure. Even though my family's there. I'm thinking.
You don't mind the weather on the East Coast? I hate it.
Honestly,
I absolutely hate the winter.
Honestly, I prefer it. Because I think of other parts of the country. The South has hurricanes. No, thank you. The South has that heat. No, thank you. The West is dry and there's no water and there's fires. No, thank you.
Have you been to Southern California?
No.
There's no better weather. Yeah,
I know.
It's super expensive.
I know.
But Vegas isn't bad. Yeah, we don't have much water, and Lake Mead bodies keep popping up from the 70s and 80s or whatever. You've heard about this.
Yeah,
right?
I have. So that's a big problem. That's a big no for me. So I definitely want to settle down and live. It's big and it's important for me. Like I live in Hoboken right now, which is like a small city. Actually, it is a city.
Frank Sinatra
and baseball, Elysian Fields. I need to raise a family in the suburbs. I need to be in the suburbs. I need to be a car, driveway, yard, grass. My kids need to play football in the back. I need to like walk to school. I need that kind of a lifestyle. So I'm thinking suburbs of Jersey, maybe Nashville.
When you come here, I'm going to show you Vegas. You might consider it. It's a great baseball town. You got the Aviators. You got UNLV. You've got the Maddox brothers, Bryce Harper. Who else? Chris Bryant's from here.
Awesome.
There's a whole bunch of. There's a lot of baseball history.
Yeah,
definitely. State income tax. No state income tax. Now, don't buy a house yet because things are going down.
I can't afford it. I can't afford a house, please.
We're sitting on the sidelines. But, it's a lot cheaper than New York.
That's true.
New Jersey.
That's true. Jersey got that really high property tax. But, Phil, when I'm out there, I'll shoot you an email. I'll get your number. We'll meet up. I'll buy you a beer. I definitely owe you a beer or two.
I'll buy you a beer.
So that'll be fun. But Phil, we've been going for a little over an hour and 15 minutes.
I know, man. We have the greatest conversations ever.
Last question.
I really enjoy them.
Last question always goes to the guest. I think I did this with you last time, but that's the second question you've ever wanted to ask me. Now is the time. You can always plead the fifth.
Yeah. So no. You want me to ask you a question? Yeah.
Yeah. Ask me any question, anything you got.
So what is your goal for podcasting? I know you're doing it so much, and it really takes a while to get going and all that. So what is your 5-year goal or 2-year goal for, let's say 2-year goal for podcasting?
2-year goal? That's a great question. I should probably ask myself that every single day. What's my 2-year plan? Really, my plan for podcast is I'm going to do it forever. I'm going to be sitting in front of this microphone or a microphone forever. Eventually, the end goal. I know the end goal more than the 2-year goal. The end goal is Ambiguous Podcast Solutions is my company. It's a company I founded with my friends from college. And part of that
company. You have partners?
Yes. I got
okay.
3 partners. Yeah, Jared, Nash, and Christian. So I'm the podcast editing guy. Christian's the studio, Nash the tech, and Jared's the marketing. And the 4 of us each have our own companies, and our own companies make up all of Ambiguous Podcast Solutions. So it's the equity breakdowns like that. So eventually the goal for Ambiguous Podcast Solutions is have it take off. Actually, within 2 years, I definitely want to have that 5th partner, that investor, to really throw in and probably be in a 2nd or 3rd round of investing funds and working towards bringing the company public. That's my 2-year goal. Because once the company's public, I'm selling. I'm gone. I want nothing to do with a public company. Done. I'm going to take my share of the company, which is Willie T Productions, which is really my production company, which I own 100% of in my sole proprietorship. I'm going to do that, build a studio, either in my basement or an in-person studio, and do what Rogan does. Fly people out, put them up in a hotel, have them on as a guest, get sponsors, and make money through podcasting, through partnerships I make through Ambiguous Podcast Solutions over the next 2, 5, 10 years, whatever. So my life goal is to continue podcasting forever. Keep making content. Be a master of my craft. I love talking in front of this microphone, even if no one listens. Doesn't matter to me.
And you can do it anywhere in the world, right?
I can do it. All I need is a secure internet connection. This mixer I got over here, my laptop with Adobe Audition, my software, my hardware, my editing skills, and the ability to upload. So yeah, that's my plan. And to keep talking to cool people like yourself. Like I like that. I can have a network of people of just, I can hit up like, hey, I need someone to hop on. Let's do a podcast, right? Like it's going to be Phil Riccobono 2.0. And then they get title, former MLB scout and author. Next time it'll be 3.0. It'll be fun to see how high can I get it.
NPB scout.
NPB. I'll do NPB. I'll make sure it's NPB scout. Like I want to see how high I can go. My reoccurring guest. I think that's one of the coolest things about Rogan. He has so many different guests on, but I want to take it a step further and go, okay, this is the 10th episode I've done with this guest. This is the 15th episode I've done with this guest. And I have all these ideas with podcasting. I'm kind of surprised that no one's thought of yet. Like we're in early stages of developing our app. And someone's like, well, how are you going to set yourself apart from others? My answer is, you'll see. You'll see. Because it's like podcasting for so long. I see these issues as a podcaster that why hasn't this been fixed yet? It's like, oh, duh, I'll do it. And that's my plan.
Cool. I appreciate you having me on, Will.
Yeah, Phil, always. You are a special person.
I'm going to see you soon.
Yeah.
You too.
I'll be there in October.
You are a machine, a podcast machine.
Someone's got to do it.
Yeah, I'll see you next month. We're already in September now.
Yeah, end of October. Honestly, it'll probably be during the World Series. That's probably when I'll be there.
Oh, cool. We'll get to watch it.
Yeah.
At 5:00. Reasonable time.
Dead smack in the middle. But all right, Phil, anything you want to plug, anything you want to share, if you got your old books, new book, anything, your podcast, anything you want to plug, floor is yours.
English language learners who are interested in sports, sportsenglish.org. I'm on Twitter at GoSportsEnglish. And then we have a new book coming out, and it's a segue to maybe one of your future guests, Kirsten Wachter. She's the author of The Beautiful Game. It's a phenomenal book. She really took it to the next level with her reenactments of and role playing and all these audios she did, as well as just writing a really solid English textbook. Yeah, so you'll meet her soon. She's intense. She's a fire plug. She's a force. So I can't wait to see that interview.
I'm very excited as well. Just shoot me her email and I'll follow up with her when I'm going to Nashville next week, and next week I'm in Atlantic City. So the following week I'll make sure to reach out to her, and I'll get her on for sometime in September, and then I'll put it out there.
Okay.
But until then, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Will Tarashuk. This has been a Talking with Tarashuk podcast with Phil Riccobono 2.0, the first guest of this podcast and the first returning guest of this podcast. So it's always a special time. Phil, come next year, because we're still in Q3, right? Right, we're still in Q3 this year, fiscal year? Or is it technically beginning of Q4? right?
No,
October, November,
quarter
December.
3 is October 1st,
October
right?
1st. So,
yeah.
my policy is once a quarter, we come back on. So, starting somewhere between October and December, we can bring you on. If not, we'll do it again in the new year to celebrate our 1-year anniversary of the podcast. We'll figure it out. Maybe we'll talk about hot stove transactions coming in the winter meeting. So that'll be very exciting. But ladies and gentlemen, my name is Will Tarashuk, T as in Thomas, Arashuk. All my previous interviews, including the very first episode with Phil, can be found at biggestpodcasters.com. Anywhere podcasts can be found: iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon, etc., etc., etc. All of our clips for shorter form content can be found on YouTube, as well as even shorter form content on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook Reels. Everything 100% created by me. If you like my content and want my content to look just like your content, or, vice versa, your content look like my content, reach out to me, Will at APSpodcast.com. I'll give you a quote. I'd love to work with you. If you want to be a guest on this podcast, talk like me and Phil did, or you can do our other segment, the Unknown, Unnamed Nonsense Edition, which is me and Christian from Cube Recording Studios. We have a list of 190 questions and counting, completely random. We have no idea what we're going to talk about until we talk about it. It's a lot of fun. So, if you want to be a guest on either of those podcasts, which is really the same podcast, Will at APSpodcast.com. Until then, we'll see you next time. Y'all take care.